Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Morning, everybody. All right, really quick, little housekeeping item. There will be no video on Sunday as usual. I'm taking Monday off and Tuesday off because it's July 4th, which, in the United States, big thing. So your next video after today will be Wednesday. I know. Just count the days and we'll be back together again, okay? All right, there's a lot to cover. Let's go. To start with, the Royal Mint announced the 2023 Coronation Bullion Coronation coins, including special editions of the flagship Britannia and Sovereign bullion ranges. These were done by British sculptor Martin Jennings, and the King personally gave his stamp of approval. All right, moving on. Next up, this is interesting. A new sword called the Elizabeth Sword will be given to King Charles when he visits Scotland next week. It is the sword. It's going to be given during the Thanksgiving service on July 5th in Edinburgh. And wow, this thing is ornate. So it's going to be part of the Honours of Scotland, and it was designed by former Ormond Pursuivant of Arms Mark Dennis, and named after, of course, Queen Elizabeth II. It's a thing of beauty. All right, moving on. All right, next up, a little odd, but remember that red and white wool sheep sweater that Princess Diana wore? She only wore it twice. Anyway, it's going up for auction. It's expected to get like $100,000. Yeah, amazing. Moving on. Next up, the Diana Awards came out. Now, Harry wasn't going to miss this with all the negative press. Anything he can do to be positive. Okay, so they both give speeches, and the difference, I think, between the two of them is in the speeches. Let me repeat to you what William said. William said, "Today we recognize the power of young people to inspire meaningful change. To all award recipients, congratulations. Your accomplishments are a testimony to your character, passion, and determination to make a difference. You are an inspiration to young people everywhere." To everyone watching, these stories remind us why organizations like the Diana Award are so important. It's a reminder that when you invest in young people, we provide them with the tools and opportunities to make a difference. A belief shared by my mother, which, by the way, that's the only time he mentions Diana. He says, "and one I am proud to continue in her name." All right, now let's look at what Harry said. "As we come together, I'm reminded of the profound belief my mother held in the transformative power of the young people. She recognized the unique ability to challenge the status quo and push for a more inclusive and compassionate society." Oh, sounds like he's talking about what he's doing. "Her legacy continues to inspire and serve as an example of how to navigate the complexities of our world today. So many of the numerous challenges that we face disproportionately affect young people, whether it's climate change, mental health, or systemic injustices. The obstacles can seem overwhelming, but what gives me hope is the collective power we possess when we work together. There's strength in the diversity of voices and perspectives that encompass it." Okay, so the whole speech was about his mother and his issues. He never even congratulated the people who won the award. Anybody else notice that? Oh my God, this guy's a lost cause. All right, this is completely off topic from the UK royals, but I thought it was interesting. Marie Antoinette's private rooms in the Palace of Versailles, they've been closed because there's been like a 7-8 year renovation. They're reopening them. So there's a library, her bedroom, a dining room, a billiards room. They're spread out over 2 floors, and they're all accessed through a door in Antoinette's bedroom. So small are they that they can only do groups of 10 at the most. Unbelievable. I'm going to get there one day once the riots are over. All right, moving on. Princess Beatrice was out with her husband. They went to, that private members club Marks that we've talked about before. It's in London in the Mayfair district. And everybody's going on about this outfit that she had on. Yeah, I like her. I like him. Beatrice has developed like a cult over the last 6 years. Sienna Miller, Keira Knightley. Yeah, people love her clothing style. So do I. Thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what she was wearing. Moving on. Princess Catherine, we know that last year we know she's into photography, but she took a picture of Queen Camilla for the royal edition of Country Life magazine, and she's going to win a PPA award for cover of the year. Camilla was apparently at Ray Mills' house, which is her private country getaway. Very nice. All right, you guys, now we're moving on to Prince Edward. He has been super busy. So first he went to an area called Garva, hope I'm saying that right. First, he went to the forest to hear about the park's new mountain biking trails and walking trails. He joined members of the Poppy Legion at the village's Ward Memorial. Then he went and met representatives of the Women's Institute for that area, which is the oldest women's institute in Northern Ireland. He saw a cooking demonstration. Then he went to Downhill Beach to take a look at the absolutely stunning views that they had there. He's very, very busy. I mean, I'm guessing they figured that while he was there, he was going to hit it all because my goodness, I mean, he made so many stops in 2 days. He saw so many people. He spoke with so many people. It was just amazing. Like this guy right here, he runs a coffee shop. And Edward stopped in to speak with him on his way to this other outdoor area. I mean, it was just ridiculous. All right. Now, and the next thing he did, Edward went to an area called Hill's Castle. They had the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, and they welcomed 140 Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award winners. You should know it was reported that Prince Edward greeted each and every of the 140 people, every single award winner. I just think that's wonderful. I mean, it's just amazing and good for him. And of course, this was after he gave his speech talking about getting out of your comfort zone and getting out there and doing good in the world. I'm glad he's the Duke of Edinburgh. Now, obviously, Edward had other stops to make on that particular day, meeting lots of people. I can't imagine that he's able to do this and not get tired of it. But I think, like I just said, I think he makes the perfect Duke of Edinburgh. Everybody was always wondering why he wasn't the Duke. Well, now we know. All right, let's keep going. While at Hillsborough Castle, Stratham, I think it's pronounced, school, their pupils were able to play for Edward. Very nice. Now, when he got done here, he went to an area called Downhill, and he was able to taste some local food and drink and some ice cream and a swig of gin at a place called Taste Causeway. Edward also stopped in at a place called Harry's Shack. They said it was a great privilege to host him. I bet. Edward then went to an area called the Musenden Temple. Now, this is a building that was originally built as a library back in the 1700s. He listened to a choral performance before heading out. Very nice, beautiful building. They just don't do architecture like that anymore, but wouldn't it be nice if they did? Wow. That's a lot to do for one day, and you should know that the day before, as he's colonel of the rifles, the 2 rifles, he went yesterday and visited the 2 rifles at their barracks in Lisburn, and he met riflemen and the families of personnel that are deployed overseas. Lovely. All right, let's move on to Harry and Meghan. Now, we know that Netflix has told them, if you don't produce, you're not going to get paid, and now we know for a fact that Netflix handed them $40 million. The problem is they've only put out that one 6-part bunch of lies, that's been ripped apart. So now Harry's decided he's going to go to Africa and do a documentary there in order to, put out some content, because Netflix told him, if you don't put out the content, we're not going to pay you on the remainder of your contract. They're not canceling the contract. No, Netflix gave them $40 million. They want their money's worth out of them. But they've told them, no work, no pay. So far, the only joint thing they've done is that one documentary. And let's face it, we remember when Diana walked that minefield in Africa just a few months before her death, right? So, of course, Harry, when he went back, did the exact same thing, didn't he? So we have the Centabale charity in Africa. Maybe he'll make it about that. Although I have to tell you, we've already covered before that there's a little girl that he promised to take care of there, and he has not done it. And she's left the school and is living in absolute squalor. We did a video on that. He's turned his back on her. He's made a lot of promises. And once again, let's not forget that Diana walked a real minefield with the Halo Trust. And thank you to Remoulade Sauce for pointing this out to me. But, you know, Harry went back in 2019 and said he did it. But here are the pictures of them setting it up for him. He didn't actually walk through a minefield. It was fake news. There we go. Misinformation. You know, I hate to point this out also and remind you guys that one of the reasons he's going back alone also is because the people there don't want her there. Remember the whole Vosec Megan? Now, moving on, it's all in the news that Harry is going to lose out hugely after they had to give back the keys to Frogmore. And I think this is one of the reasons why they drug their feet and didn't give the keys back for 6 months after they were evicted. Because once he's out, he can no longer act as counselor of state. You must have a home. You must live in the UK. So now that he doesn't have a UK residence, he can no longer be used as a counselor of state. No more constitutional role in the UK. He's been very neatly removed. Way to go, Charles. All right, let's move on. I told you in my previous video that it come to find out that a lot of the witnesses and journalists that were giving evidence in Harry's hacking trial had been paid large sums of money by Harry's legal team. So now the judge has stepped up and said that he is going to carefully consider the reliability of the journalist who has been paying the potential witnesses. They're very concerned about how this is going to damage the case. Of course it's going to damage the case. You don't need to pay people to talk in court if they're telling the truth. Like, are you kidding? Now they're saying nobody was paid to give evidence. Right. And talking about the court case, Harry's legal team was dealt a major blow today in court, and rightfully so, I might add. So what happened was Harry's attorneys go into court today and try to hand in a letter written by one of the journalists who had something to do with one of the articles. So Harry's attorney goes, "This letter was written to you, Your Honor, and it shows a direct link and evidence of where the information came from that was in the article." So the judge says to him, "You wrapped up your evidence last week. Why are you bringing this to me today?" And Harry's attorney goes, "This letter is a direct link that will show you that he was the victim of hacking. You need to read this letter." Well, the defense attorney said, "Judge, do not read that letter because once you read it, you can't unread it. And it's not fair because we can't question that person who wrote that letter." So the judge says to him, "You know, we're on the last day of closing arguments. What if you get another letter? There has to be an end point to this. You can't just keep, putting things in." So Harry's attorney says, "Listen, read the letter and then you can decide if it's worthy of being added in or not." And the defense attorney said, "Absolutely not. This is just another attempt to bring evidence in through the back door." So the judge says, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to look at this. I will not read it. I will not put it in for evidence and I will not entertain it. Done and dusted." Yeah, I think they realized they were losing, and so they're scrambling, looking for something. But yeah, you can't do that. And Harry's going to lose. I mean, his attorney's going to make money, but Harry's going to lose. So closing arguments took care of today. They were both sides, and it's probably going to be a month or two before we hear anything from the judge, but I would be shocked if Harry won. Yeah, no. All right, moving on. All right, time to turn our attention back to Scooby-Doo. Well, let's not forget that this new book of his supposedly will reveal moments that the royal family should be, quote, ashamed of. And after, of course, he denied Meghan helping him with the book, Finding Freedom, we found out later on that it did happen. The article is saying that he has fallen foul of the authorities at company's house. The accounts and the annual return for his publishing company are late, and it has issued a strike-off notice. So unless he shows some cause, the company will be taken off the register and dissolved no less than 2 months from the date that was shown. And that if it dissolves, all of the property and rights belong to the crown. Whoa. Listen, this is a man who told people in the news he was 33 when he was actually turning 42. This is a man who lied in court and said Meghan had nothing to do with Finding Freedom, and it did. We all know that this book is actually Meghan's. But let me tell you, if you're trying to damage the monarchy, which is what Meghan and Harry are doing, it's not working. If anything, their PR is going up. Now, we also know that William has banned him from attending any royal functions, rightfully so, after the dribble that he wrote. Can you really blame him? Like, give me a break. So now he's going to be putting the coronation in his book. Well, where do you think that info's coming from? Well, Meghan wasn't there. Only person there was Harry, but he wasn't there for long. You know, Harry and Meghan always wanted to spark wider conversations, and now they are, because conversations are taking place about companies that throw money at big names who can't deliver any products, and they end up hurting those who are actually talented that are in the industry. And this is coming up because of all the people that have lost their jobs in Spotify due to the cutbacks and everything that's going on because of the deal that Harry and Meghan gave. Then they were unable to produce any content, and now you know there was this huge flurry to sign massive names and throw big money at them. But if anybody had bothered to stop for 2 seconds, they would have known that these two don't have the ability to do the content. You know, we know this guy above called them, you know what, grifters, because they were. I mean, yes, there's a major conversation going on. You know, it's being said that the reason their popularity has plummeted is because they don't know anything about hard work. They've lost the Spotify deal. Netflix has said they're probably not going to renew because the lemon has been squeezed dry. We know that Penguin Random House is actually looking at the deal that they gave them. They don't even know if they're going to continue on. And this all happened because these are two of the laziest people you've ever met. I honestly believe that Harry thought that he was going to be able to just go out there and say, I'm Prince Harry. That's it. I'm Prince Harry. I mean, he didn't even write his own book. And Meghan didn't even do some of her own interviews. And therein lies the problem, because they're saying, this article points out exactly, while Meghan says she wants to teach the world about kindness, purpose, and standing up to injustice, she doesn't want to deal with the 99.9% of people who need the kindness and deal with daily injustice unless there's a photo op involved. There you go. So when Meghan first talked about her podcast, she said, people should expect the real me, and unwittingly, we've seen it. And finally, we have a blind item. Things are not going well in Montecito. Apparently, Harry is staying in his hotel room away from Meghan. God knows the amount of fighting that's going on in that house right now with all the negative press that they've been getting. I'm telling you what. All right, reminder, there will be no video again until next Wednesday. That doesn't mean that I might not pop up on a live. You know, sometimes I just decide to do a live. So hit that subscribe button, double check, make sure you're still subscribed if you've already hit the button. Don't forget to leave those comments below and make them good. Don't forget to go into the description box and get the link to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, and my physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund or through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.